All right. Well, welcome back to Autonomy Quest, everybody. This evening, we're joined by an autonomy graduate, Benny Wills. And Benny, thank you very much for
Yeah.
being here. Please take the floor and let people know a little bit about yourself, and then we can proceed with an interview.
Okay. My name's Benny, and I graduated from Autonomy season 3. So way back in 2020 is when I took Autonomy. And let's see, what do you want to know? Personal. I'm a father. I have 3 small boys, aged 4, 2, and 1. So it's a very extreme parenting situation for me. And yeah, I've been an online entrepreneur ever since taking Autonomy, and I've had a lot of success. I've had ups and downs, but it's been all been fun, been a learning experience, and it's all going very well right now. And I love the online business space. I'm passionate about it, and I'm really happy to be back here, full circle, talking to you about my journey.
Well, that's great. I'm a father too, as you know.
Yeah.
So it's great to have you, Benny. Thank you
Uh,
very, very much for being here. It's an honor.
it's my
Um,
pleasure, man.
I guess we just kick it off. And I just want to know, in what ways were you stuck in life before joining autonomy?
Stuck in life. Well, I didn't know what direction to take. That was really where I was at. In 2019 is when I first had the call with Richard where he pitched autonomy to me, and I had no understanding of business. I had no understanding of how to make money. I didn't have any real self-discipline. I don't know if, I knew Rich prior to that because we both were like voices in the truth movement. I had a YouTube channel that some people liked, and that opened up a lot of doors for me. I mean, I was performing in a lot of conferences and stuff and events and doing well, but nothing was paying me. So I was having really awesome life experiences and I was influencing people in a positive way, but I didn't know how to turn that into income. And even when Rich pitched me autonomy, my impulse was to say no because it was about business. And I was like, yeah, it's not my thing. And luckily, my wife said, I think you should do this. So thanks to Rich for like opening the door, but also thanks to my wife for pushing me through it and actually saying yes and getting started because my life has not been the same since. It's actually gotten way better. So that was so that's where I was stuck, having no concept of how to make money or how to start or what to do in this chapter of my life that I was also about to be a father in.
What was your dream? What was your goal when you joined autonomy?
Just to get an idea of what to do, really, more than anything. I didn't know what to do. So at that point, I had a, I had a loyal following, I guess you could say, but it was small but loyal, mighty following. But I didn't know what to do to address them. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to offer. And at that time, I was writing a lot of poetry and performing it. That was what was taking me like to conferences and things around the world was my ability to perform. And so my idea was, I'm going to put this poetry book together and sell the book. And that's my plan. Like that was it. That was my that was my plan. And Rich, first thing he said to me, which is something I share with all of my clients now, is he gave me this switch in my mindset. He's like, well, okay, how about this? Instead of trying to sell a poetry book, why don't you teach people how to write poetry and then give them the book for free? And that was just like a little wake up call. It's not what I ended up doing, but it shifted my mindset towards the more viable approach, which is the how to, which is what people want to pay for. And I ended up creating a communication program when I finished autonomy, and that is what launched me on this whole journey. And I launched it during COVID, which was a very difficult time for communication, among other things. And it was basically to help, like the truth seeker type navigate those difficult conversations that were inevitable because of what was going on in 2020. And it was based on my own experience. So it was like that how to, since I had been a conspiracy guy for so long, without realizing it, I had become pretty good at communicating and having conversations that involved difficult subject matter. But anyway, I'm getting a little off topic. But that's where it all started. Was that one suggestion that he made to me?
And it blossomed into the Parrhesia course. Is that correct?
Parrhesia, the art of communication. Yeah, that blossomed into that, and that blossomed into multiple businesses that I've launched since then, and you know, is why I'm at where I'm at now.
Did your experience through autonomy help you face your fears and like show up for yourself?
Yeah, more than anything, it helped me face my own ignorance. I mean, what autonomy did for me was open up my mind to what entrepreneurship is and what's possible through taking that leap and saying, I'm going to be my own boss. And so the fear I was having in life was like, I don't know what to do now. Fear was like just uncertainty, having a vague idea of where my life was going. So autonomy gave me uh, a roadmap towards a plan. And then that plan became my life.
How did you build a thriving online community?
uh, through determination and persistence. So, okay, so that's what I do now. So, anybody wants to know or whatever, like I manage a community. That's my primary online job now. And I arrived there by realizing that the group dynamic was always the best thing about what I was offering. So when I had my communication course, again, this is like the advice I got from autonomy. I had a course, okay, how to talk to people basically about COVID, right? During that time. And then they said, well, you need to have like a tiered structure. Again, this is like new terms to me, like a tiered structure. What do you mean? Like price points, people in different entry points for how people can pay you. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I can just sell the course as like the low ticket. Mid ticket could be the course plus a weekly workshop with me and other people. And then the higher tier could be one-on-one plus the workshop plus the course. And the workshop ended up being, which was like arbitrary. It was just like, I guess I got to have something to offer in this mid tier. That ended up being what everyone loved the most. And it was because of the camaraderie. It was because people came together and the course was great and people did get results from it and they were helped. But there was something about that community dynamic that made people want to stay and also elevated everyone's standards and everyone wanted to, you know, it just created like an inertia that was contagious and people didn't want it to end when it was over. My program I think was 10 weeks at that time. And when it was over, they were all like exchanging email addresses and numbers. No one wanted it to end. And I was like, this is interesting. So from there and through all of those conversations and getting to know so many people through that program, I started identifying like an underlying issue with a lot of people, which was that of stagnation in life, like, and also relating to that as well. So I know all too well what it feels like to be overwhelmed by the amount of injustices and problems and deception in the world. And I also know how that awareness can keep someone stuck, like stuck in sort of like a doomsday mindset. So from all that work I did with people in Parrhesia, I created a men's coaching program to help them get out of that. It's like doom and gloom outlook on life, like a negative outlook on life, and regain their power and get excited about their life, their contribution, and who they can help. And then through those conversations, it all, again, that group dynamic was so powerful. Like it was a group coaching thing, and these guys would show up, and just by being together, it made the results more likely because they were all doing it together. And so from there, I was like, well, obviously, this is the strongest. This is the selling point. They come for the content, they come for the results, but they stay for the community. So then I decided to shift everything to community. And the conversations through that men's coaching program were all about how to get autonomy in life, how to become self-reliant, how to be your own boss. They were all asking me questions about business, and since I had become obsessed with business as a result of autonomy, I had a lot to share because I was figuring out in real time what worked and what didn't work. Um, I was able to share a lot. So then I thought, well, why don't I just make the community about entrepreneurship and like how to actually get paid with the offer you have in your brain and like get it to market and get it clients. And that's what I do now. And I love it. It's my favorite thing.
Dude, that's awesome. Um,
Yeah.
if you don't mind sharing a little bit about how do you overcome that overwhelm that you spoke about?
Overwhelm regarding what?
The
Like the world?
Yeah,
Um, well, I think for me, it's a lot of things. One was being a father, and my wife got pregnant so soon after our first son was born. And there's just something about becoming a dad that makes things more hopeful, right? Just like, I mean, at least for me, you see the world through the child's eyes and you think, you know, that's things aren't so bad. Um, and then realizing like beyond that, I don't know, maybe it's maturity or something getting older, but the overwhelm of the world, the more I also picked up a reading habit during this time, which was invaluable. I'd never been a reader before, but I became obsessed with sort of success in life. Like that was the rabbit hole I obsessed on the most. Like what are the keys to being happy? What are the keys to having a really not just successful financial life, but like a successful life? So I just immersed myself in wisdom and like stories of from, these this advice that kind of echoes through time. And I started realizing that any era in which you're born has the same sort of problems. We just have different flavors of it based on when you're born. So we're dealing with our current version of totalitarianism and, you know, uh, powers that be that don't have your best interest at heart, and it manifests in the way that it's manifesting now. But this is all throughout time. So that was like a liberating thing. It's like we're going to be okay. In spite of the problems, humanity will persist. So I'm just going to focus on the things that I can control. And I need to do it for one, because I have to support my family. But just accepting, like, yep, this is a part of the deal of with life is grappling with nonsense and corruption. And so that kind of got me through that. And then of course working directly with people who are of a similar mindset was also very helpful because it's like therapeutic to be able to talk to people who you don't have to mince words with or you know mm, be careful on how you talk about things. So it's a variety of things, but those are like the primary ones.
did autonomy play any role in you acquiring these skills of adaptation, facing the overwhelm?
Yeah, because autonomy really made it clear that my future was in my hands and it was not dictated by the government. I had the power to create the circumstances in my life that I want to see, regardless of the obstacles that are, embedded within the pillars of our society.
How many times did you go through the autonomy course?
Just once.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Cool.
Oh yeah, man. I was off and running. Like that's probably why I've done well. And I tell this to people in my community as well. It's it's just I give myself no option but to succeed. That's it. So there was especially because COVID was very making it very clear that there was no such thing as job security anyway. It doesn't exist. It's a myth. And that proved it. It's like the only path forward for me is to be my own boss. So therefore, I will succeed because there's no other option. So it was just like muscling my way through, figuring it out to make sure that it worked, but having no escape plan, no plan B, like this will work. And just having that, commitment is why I've done well.
What was the autonomy community like back then?
Back then. Uh awesome. I mean, super supportive. I love being around people who are like-minded, but I particularly like being around people who are like-minded, but also driven, who are aware of what's going on, but not apathetic, who are like still determined to make a difference, to still live their best life, to help as many people along the way, and are actually focused on solutions rather than problems. And I've really got a lot from the autonomy community like that. And now the community that I manage as well is the same. Being around people who are like, yeah, this a lot of this situation sucks, but I'm not going to let it deter me from what's possible.
Now, you just mentioned focusing on solutions in a chaotic world. That's pretty difficult to do. How do you keep yourself centered on that goal of focusing on solutions?
I feel like if you can help someone solve a problem, you're helping the world. If you can solve one problem for one person, you are contributing to the greater good. Because if you untie a knot for somebody in their lives, you are now opening up more space in their lives to experience more of what they're capable of, more of their potential, which is a word I try to avoid most of the time. But this is a shift from where I was. So in my 20s, my I was just angry, and it was so frustrating that people wouldn't even like look at the things I was seeing. Um, and I wanted to wake up the world. That was like my goal. But that's literally impossible. It's vague. It doesn't have any clear like game plan. So when I realized no, it's more about waking up to yourself and what you're capable of doing. And if you can help someone else overcome a simple problem, you unlock so much more for them and their ability to reach you. It's like a ripple effect. You can help someone overcome something that they're struggling with. Now they're more capable of doing so much more with their life. And maybe they can help people that I can't reach. And it is like this boots on the ground chain reaction that, yeah, I uh I love.
And we definitely learned a lot about problem solving skills and autonomy from Richard.
And
Um,
I think that our the money we make should be a reflection of the service we provide. I think that's what the beauty of entrepreneurship. It's value for value. You give value, receive value in return.
I agree. Uh,
Yeah.
what was so you mentioned that you knew Richard previous to taking autonomy, being in the same sort of sphere of content creation or public speaking. But what was it like working with him during your autonomy course back in 2020?
Uh well, it was an honor. I mean, Rich has one of the most mm, what's the best way to put this? He's one of the most clear-headed people I've ever experienced. His ability to explain and articulate complicated ideas so simply and so thoroughly is a sight to behold. So his ability to like answer a question, to not only give you the answer you need, but to give you I don't know, so many other ideas surrounding that answer is remarkable. And he does it like without hesitating. It's amazing. And he's also funny, which I appreciate. Like he's got a great sense of humor. I'm drawn to people who can keep things light. He's got a great ability to not only be comprehensive and highly intellectual, but also keep it down to earth and lighthearted.
What did you notice about his ability to tend to his students' needs?
Well, I just noticed his ability uh to have consideration and care for everybody he works with. He's his ability to like retain everyone's situation so well. Like he knows exactly, you don't have to like catch him up. He already knows. And he takes his time, which I appreciate as well. He he's there's never like a need to rush because he will always like give the person the attention that they need and the appropriate amount of time that it takes for them to receive it.
No, I
And
kind of
again,
want to
in like a
shift gears.
lighthearted, friendly way.
Yeah.
So it's like disarming.
Hmm. I wanted to shift gears back to talking about a little bit more about what you do. Now
Yeah,
you have a. Did you say that you have a group where you teach money making abilities?
I do. The focus of my community is helping people get clear on their offer and get their first high ticket client. And then from there, we can help you scale. But the whole goal is like, how do you refine your offer to make it something that is impossible to say no to, is the goal, by getting as specific as possible. Because the tendency is to want to go broad. People want to go, they want to reach more people. So they have like an offer that's more general, but that actually is a deterrent. You want to get as specific as possible. So we refine the offer to make it something almost irresistible, so it speaks directly to the person who needs it, and then tactics on how to actually find those people and convert them into clients without having any sales tactics, without having any marketing experience or social media following.
Oh, cool. And clearly, autonomy played a huge role in your ability to do that.
Well, yeah, autonomy absolutely changed the trajectory of my life. To think 10 years ago that I would be an online entrepreneur helping other online entrepreneurs get started, it doesn't even make sense to me. I would have laughed and said you were lying. Like, there's no way that made sense to me 10 years ago. But here I am now. And not only am I good at it, but I love it. Like, I'm obsessed with business. And something I've realized, it's really important, is I used to be strictly a creative, an artistic type. And I actually, in retrospect, see that I use that as a crutch and as an excuse. I'm like, well, I'm a creative type. I don't have a mind for business. What I've realized is all that creative energy I put towards my artistic expressions, I can channel into building a business. It's the same energy, it's just reapplied in a new way that provides value and, again, brings me value in return. So all that creative power is now just like directed at helping others and getting me paid.
I'm hearing you say that you don't need to have a background in business or entrepreneurship to join autonomy and to make a change to be successful. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, you can be a total noob and have your mind blown by the wisdom that Richard shares about entrepreneurship. It did for me.
That's wonderful. Um, well, at this point, I'd like to offer the floor to anybody out there that has any questions about autonomy that they'd like to ask Benny, or if there's any other graduates in the audience that would like to um, speak with Benny and about autonomy. So at this point, please feel free to unmute yourself, take the leap of bravery, and unmute yourself.
What's up, Benny?
Oh, what's up, Jerry? Good to see you, man.
Yeah, long time no
Jerry,
see.
Jerry, Jerry's in my community. Everybody, he's in my community is called Sovereign Secrets, by the way. And I have a excuse me, I have a free community and I have a paid community, and they're both great. But Jerry's in the paid, and it's good to see you, man.
I confirm that to be a true statement. Your community is one of the best out there, along with the
Thanks,
autonomy
man.
community. There are two communities I really hold dear to my heart, and I thank you, Benny, for hosting that and offering that as a service. I think you're a huge inspiration for me, such as James Cordner. You guys are amazing in what you do. And yeah, what you said, Benny, about how you were passionate about this, I can tell because you actually put in the work, and you're not just talking about it, you're doing it. So that's a huge inspiration for me. And I got to get back into the meetings because I always, I'm a better person after these meetings. So one of those things.
Well, you're always welcome, man. We have 3 calls a week, so there's plenty of time to hop in and get you moving.
You have the weekly meeting, and then you have the coffee chats, right?
Yeah, so I basically have 1 hour chat and 2 half-an-hour chats, but the community is very engaged, uh, not just through calls, but like the format that I use is called School, and it's very similar to Facebook. So there's a lot of posting, a lot of like tabs where conversations start, and yeah, it's going very well. So you can correspond outside of the calls as well, Jerry. It's 24/7 access.
That's excellent, Benny. Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for hopping on here and just being a huge inspiration to all of us. So thanks, Benny.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. But I am happy to answer any questions because I am living the life that autonomy like told me I could.
Hello, Benny. Can you hear me?
I can. Hello. Hi, Olivia.
Hi. Hi, I'm Olivia. I am an autonomy graduate. I graduated
Cool.
season 8. Yeah, so we haven't had the pleasure to meet each other, but one of the I don't have a question, but more of a comment for something you just said about you being a content creator. I've seen some of your work, which is quite really good. It's very good. And I do have an artist at home that I keep excusing her sometimes about her being a creator. She's as I said, she's an artist, and I excuse I excuse her for sometimes not paying enough attention to the business creation or refocusing that energy. So what you just said, it's making me think about it, just to push her more on that aspect. And and stop excusing her for her to do the work and just creating instead of focusing on selling her stuff. Sometimes it's a little bit challenging there. So thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we are, we're created beings and we're all meant to create. So we're all creative, and therefore we can apply that creative energy towards anything. I mean, it's just with business, it's just learning new skills. It's really that simple. And I think, okay, I use this analogy a lot. My 4-year-old, and also actually all 3 of my kids now, when they see something they want to try, they just do it. And there's no second guessing. There's no like, oh, am I going to be good at this? Am I going to be bad at this? Are people going to judge me for this? Well, how am I going to look like when I do it? The example I use is juggling, because I can juggle. So I'll juggle for them, and they'll immediately want to grab the balls and start juggling themselves. They can't, obviously, but if they kept doing it, they could. And that impulse, like, or sort of gets faded as we get older. But it's a similar principle for business. Like, yeah, there's some things you have to learn. There's things you have to figure out and you have to get good at. But if you just went for it like a child does, you will figure it out, because none of it's that hard. It just takes commitment and persistence and not, overcoming those doubts we have. It's the doubt that keeps people stuck, the self-doubt, period. So yeah, that creative power, if you can paint a picture, you can build a business. If you're willing to learn some new skills. And then it's fun. Like, that's something else. Like, online business is fun. It can be a game. Like, it does feel like a game. You're playing a level and you find you're up against the final boss at the end of the level. You got to figure out how to beat the boss. And then you beat that boss and you're at the next level. If you can look at it like that, it becomes fun and it becomes much, I don't know, it lowers the stakes. I think that we have a financial incentive attached to it, so it makes it intimidating. But if you look at it more like it's a game, I'm going to figure out the rules of the game to win the game, it's much more accessible and you can play.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely. It's a great
Yeah.
analogy. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And if you can solve one problem for somebody, you have a business, period. End of story. And we all do that already. We're all able to solve problems because we've all solved problems in our own lives. And I think that's one of the best metrics to look at, or like analysis you can do. Like, what can I offer? Just look at what you've done. People need solutions to common problems. And we've all solved common problems. And things we take for granted could be life-changing for someone else, whether that's a skill or a problem you've overcome. I mean, I've helped guys in so many ways, like with addiction and with just, negative thought patterns. You can help someone in some little way, and you just lean into it and think about your own journey. Well, how did I overcome this thing? I was here and now I'm here. So how can you teach someone the lessons that you learned in less time with less pain? You have a business. My communication program was based on 15 years of figuring out how to have conversations around taboo subjects. And I taught it to people in 8 weeks. So they didn't have to go through the 15 years of suffering that I went through. That's how you succeed in business. And again, people have these general ideas like, I want to help all these people in all these ways, but no one will care because it doesn't speak directly to them. So specificity is key, and solving simple problems, common problems. And you can make money, and they'll be happy to spend it. What platform? I use School, SKOOL, school.com. It's an awesome platform. It's for communities. And I mean, I could talk all day about how much I love School, but I like School so much. I've quit my website. Everything. If you go to bennywills.com, it takes you straight to my School community. I'm all about reducing friction. The amount of steps a person has to take between finding out who I am, being interested, and then being in my world. So I'm all about the School platform. I think it's amazing. And my community is school.com/sovereign secrets. You can go check it out.
Isn't that SKOOL?
SKOOL.com/sovereign secrets. But I'm happy to answer any questions. I love talking about this stuff.
I'm just a person in Benny's community.
I didn't tell them to be here either, by the way, just to make that known. It's a surprise that you're here, Ina.
I feel like I'm taking time off from what I should be doing to hear more about what I should be doing, but well
put.
Yeah, but I just wanted to say that as a member, I did join Parrhesia. It made me face my fears. I didn't overcome them, but I faced them and began to live with them closer up front in my face.
Mm.
Then when you had the men's group, I listened in anyway. I thought, I'm not a man, but what the heck? And he's teaching. I think so I did one session. I think I listened in and took notes, and it's something that's now available to me online. Not that per se, but that kind of mindset work. It was goals in life, how you're doing in different areas of life. And then I have a friend who walks dogs for a living on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And a few days before you publicized this community that I'm now a member of, he just happened to say, damn, I made $10,000 last month. And I said, what? I can do that too. I should be doing that. And since it was called 0 to 10K Blueprint for Beginners, I joined the instant I got the email that very day.
That's funny. Yes. The truth is, okay, go ahead, Anna.
One last thing. The community, this thing on School, right? So many in the group with Benny have already formed their own School communities. It feels like things are proliferating like rabbits reproduce, it's just sprouting. That's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, and people are starting businesses and making money, which honestly feels even better than when I get a sale. When someone who I'm working with gets a sale, like there's some that's so thrilling. It's so proof of concept, it's so validating, and it's just so awesome for them. But truthfully, honestly, it has never been easier to be an entrepreneur because of the internet. Never been easier. And people are making absurd amounts of money by just figuring out a process that works and is pulling the lever over and over again, pulling it. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be consistent. And of course, dialed in. Like as long as you can actually help someone achieve the result that they're after. If you can make $1 online, you can make $1 million online. Period.
I'd like to come
Yeah.
back in and ask you a question, Benny.
Please.
During your time in autonomy, what was the aha moment of like epiphany when things started to really click?
When I figured out it was communication was the thing. Because the first several weeks of going through the program, it was so inspiring. I was feeling so motivated, but I was like, but what do I do with this? And I'd have to like pause the video sometimes and just be like, I don't know, like this is all making so much sense, but what do I have to offer? I don't know. I do comedy, I do poetry. I have good stage presence, but how can I package that? So I was just like banging my head against the wall, trying to figure it out. And I finally like floated the idea to my wife. I was like, what if it's about communication? Because if you think about it, everything I've already done is about communication. And I didn't, it was only in like this processing that I figured it out. But like I started a comedic YouTube channel to express my thoughts on certain topics in a way that was palatable to the person who's experiencing it. Because comedy disarms. If someone's laughing, they're more capable of listening. So I started thinking, well, yeah. And the poetry was more of an outlet for me to take all of my swirling ideas and all my thoughts about certain topics and issues and filter it down to something that was very precise, like a very articulated opinion or idea. And it was all communication. And then, of course, like speaking at conferences and stuff, like that's me communicating. It's like I actually have, now that I think about it, all the things I've done are all in service to a communication effort. I was like, actually, I have a lot to offer in this way. And I started really brainstorming. And so my wife and I would sit there and I would talk about like, okay, if I were to construct a course around communication, what would it look like? And I just started like speaking off the cuff and, stream of consciousness. And she was taking notes. And before I knew it, I was like, wow, this could be really good. Because it was based on my own experience, my own evolution as a communicator, going from that angry conspiracy guy in college who would, get angry and speak aggressively at people, and realizing that didn't help. I was actually pushing people away. And how the next over 10 years of my life was about not having that, actually building bridges and finding ways in to get through to people. I had, without realizing it, developed a really solid foundation for communication and conversations. And then it all started to click. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. So that was the moment, was when I realized that everything I had done or was good at wasn't off the table, but actually was all a part of this bigger process that I hadn't realized. And then I packaged it into a program. It's the things that are most obvious that we overlook in our lives. And it takes reflection. It takes someone else holding a mirror up to you and like help you see it. It's one of the first things I do in my community is like ask people. If you don't know what to do, like ask 10 people a series of questions to get their feedback on you, on what you're good at, what your strengths are, what you're passionate about, what they would come to you for advice on. Those little things are gold, because it's what you take for granted that you're already good at or that you've already accomplished. And then you just figure out that, like the through line, you get 10 people to fill out questions about you and you'll see a pattern like, oh, I never thought about this, but a lot of people are saying this about me. I guess I am qualified to talk about this or to help somebody with this. And that's how you refine the offer. And again, it's always something simple and something we usually overlook because it's part of us and we don't think about it.
Thank you for
You
that
know, if
answer,
someone,
Benny.
well, yeah, like if you've ever had an addiction that you kicked, and this is an obvious example, but if you used to like, you know, drink heavily and you had a moment where you're like, I can't do this anymore, and you overcame it. Well, guess what? Now you have something you can help someone else with. Someone else who's struggling with alcohol, you can be someone for them to help them overcome it based on the experience that you had. Like it can be that simple. Or if it's a skill, you know, if you're an excellent piano player, you can teach you how to play piano. Like it doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, it shouldn't be complicated. The less complicated, the better.
Benny, we'll just say that after going through autonomy, just from listening to you, was even though I'm season 8, I'm still working on myself. I'm still working on a lot of things. So just so you know. But from what you're saying, it would just say that going through autonomy, even though you just did 1 season, and then after that you just knew, and I actually wrote it down, how what you said, you gave yourself no other option but to succeed, which I really like that. Would you say that after going through the course, and you that the course empower you to have that as to be able to have that idea of not option but to succeed, and organize everything that was already in your mind, like going through the course help you organize all your potential to bring it out of you and explode it and do all the things that you are doing right now.
Yeah, it gave me the starting point. And I think that
correct.
so
Fair enough.
it gave me a launching pad. And then from there it was like just seeing it through. And probably one of the best things that's helped me is doing it when I'm not ready. Just going for it. Just do it. If you have an idea, run with it. Keep moving. It's the momentum that will get you closer to where you want to go. Plain and simple. People get hung up on perfection. They think it has to be perfect. They get scared. Like, oh, what if it doesn't work? What if people think this? Blah, blah, blah. You just got to go and you'll figure it out in real time if you're in motion. But it's the action that will get you there. You don't have to have it all figured out because it's always going to be evolving anyway. It's always going to be changing. You have to just keep adjusting. The only way you fail is if you stop and quit. But you also have to start. And so many people get stuck because they don't start, because they overthink. Just go. Just do it. Get it out there. And you'll learn.
Thank you. Yes, I keep repeating that to myself because I still have paralysis by analysis, not as much as I used to months ago, but it's still there. So I keep working on that, and I really like to listen to the lectures to come back to my present and move forward. And I keep doing that, but not as fast as I would like. But working towards that. So thank you. I really appreciate what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's inspirational.
Perfectionism, that's great. Perfectionism is procrastination. Plain and simple. It'll never be perfect. And not to sound cliche, but experience is the best teacher. Just get it out there and you just keep refining and adjusting, analyzing the feedback, the data. You don't look at the data, you don't look at the numbers, you're going to have a hard time growing. You're going to constantly be evaluating if it's working, if it's not working. It's the scientific method. You have a hypothesis, you run with it, and then you analyze the results. Is it getting you closer to the conclusion, or is nothing happening? Well, then you probably have to rewrite your hypothesis, but you have to keep being in motion. Go before you're ready. There.
Hey, Ben, you have one question. What are you currently working on?
Building my community. That's it. I mean, really, really pushing it out there and helping people get the results that I'm saying they're capable of, and taking it as far as it wants to go. And of course, like making my family culture strong and all that. Like that's my primary job as father, husband, and then the business. Like that's my life. Like really, that's my life is family and business. And I'm very content.
That's what matters is you're content.
Yeah. Yeah. And moving forward, not just content, but like, because content can also lead to complacency. But like, I have big goals. I have a very clear vision of what I want my life to look like, and I won't stop until it does. And I didn't used to have that. I had no vision. Now I've, not to sound cliche again, but like I have goals. And I didn't realize that you need goals in life. You don't have goals, you just kind of wander. You have to have something, you have to be moving towards something. And that's become very clear to me. The analogy I always use is you can't build a house without a blueprint. You can't arrive at a destination without a map. Your life is no different. If you don't know where you're going, you're just going to wander. You have to know where you're going and what you're building with a deadline as well. But yeah, obviously I love talking about this stuff. So if anybody has any questions, this is like fuel for me. I love it. And again, before autonomy, I would have never dreamed that I'd be like this passionate about business.
Hi, Benny.
Hey, Dave.
Dave, do you not miss your creativity? You said you realized that you were hiding behind your creativity or your artistic expression, and now you're focused more on the business. Do you not miss that side of what you do?
I'm nostalgic for stuff I used to do with my friends and stuff, but there's room for it. I mean, especially as I move forward, I'm creating more room for it. Right now I'm applying all that creative energy, towards starting a family and towards business, and it's all in service to having more options in life. So the quicker I get to my goals, the more capacity there is for layering in other things that I also enjoy. And I find the creative outlet of business just as satisfying and fulfilling as I did when I was strictly an artist. And part of my big plan, part of my goal is to bring some of that back in, like the performance. I love performing, and I'm not right now, and I'm okay with that. And as I move forward, it'll find its place back in my life, but it's not like I sacrifice one thing to do something else. It's just, again, it's just focusing the energy into something else that was required for me to, move up to the next level of my life. And I find it just as fulfilling. And it's not like I quit being an artist. I'm still creative. It's just not it's not the thing I focus on the most.
Yeah, you swapped your focus, but you don't feel like you could do both. I'm an artist, and you know, I want to. I have neglected that financial side really. To go with my art, you know, I don't want to give that up. That's been my lifetime, you know, pursuit. But I do need
Well,
to
then
learn how to.
you can use that as your starting point.
Yeah,
I mean, if you have, you know, for instance, and I don't know much about your situation, but if it's easy for you to find the flow, to get into the flow of creation and create something magnificent, you can reach people who struggle with that process. People who are like, I want to create, but I don't know where to start. I can't seem to find the time, or I can't seem to find that, you know, the motivation or whatever it is. If you can help them overcome a creative block, that could be something you could have as a business. You know, again, using your own experience.
Yeah, I started doing videos showing people how to do stuff that I do, and so I can see that. That's a really. I've learned that from Autonomy. I actually joined your group yesterday. So,
I saw we messaged a little bit. Yeah, let's
I didn't
book
answer
that.
you, but I'll book a call with you.
Book a call. Yeah, let's talk, man. I'd love to help you out.
Nice one. Cheers, Benny.
Yeah, cheers. And okay, so to piggyback on what he just said, I mean, about creativity. So this is where a lot of people shy away from online business, because it does require you to put yourself out there. But you can use if you have a creative mind, you can put that into your content, which is people will get so intimidated by. But content is just creative expression as well. It's just using your authentic creative mind to talk about something that, or like, you know, make content around the thing that you can help people with. And that is creativity, and it can be fun, and it's artistic, because it's like, it's a piece that you crafted and put together.
Hi, Benny. Thank you for bringing that up. Remember me, Renee? You host.
I do remember you. Hi. Yeah.
Hi. I love this conversation because you were there, you know, for the performance of the Club for Creative Expression. And that's what it's all about, you know, the creative spark. And that oftentimes we don't know where to start, you know, to get there. We want to create. And I think it's, you know, what you said, it's part of our nature to want to bring it into form one way or another. So I appreciate, again, the conversation. And it is a matter of just doing something. And, you know, for me, with the club, it was a matter of people tapping into a desire, tapping into something that they really wanted to do at some point in their lives. And I know that for you, and I wanted to hear more about the performance aspect of it, because you do have that. And I know you like to perform, and that's, I know it's something I love also, you know, it resonates.
Yeah. For sure. And so the thing that's going to draw people to your business more than anything is you. The offer is there, but, you know, there's nothing new under the sun. No one's reinventing the wheel, but it's your authenticity that attracts them to the offer that is specific. So when you look at content, it's you that has to come through. So you have if you have a narrow niche, something you're focusing in on to help someone solve a specific problem, you're bringing yourself and the entirety of your experience through that lens of this niche. But you don't it's not like you're sacrificing who you are in service of just speaking about this one thing. you're letting this thing be the seed, and then, or like the lens, and then everything else comes through that lens. But it's an opportunity to express, an opportunity to create. And bonus, it brings people into your world where they can buy your offer.
Correct. And I think it's, well, I believe it all comes into play with the creative spark. Where is it in you that you want to express? And from that will come the offer.
Yeah. And we're all uniquely qualified to serve people in our own unique way.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it's your authenticity that's going to get them to want to do business with you, because they trust you, the person, because you're real.
There are a couple
That's
of
right there.
questions in the chat.
Oh, okay. Do you think it is essential to have a YouTube channel to succeed? Or what do you think are other ways possible to get your business out there? You don't need anything to start making money online. And I mean that. It just takes some courage, the willingness to do some outreach, get conversations going, to craft an offer, to ask people if they're interested, to like see if they know anybody who might be interested. I always recommend starting with someone for free, and that's something we did here in Autonomy. I had a beta version of my course first before I launched it to make sure that it was hitting all the right notes and delivering the value that it needed to. So you can find people to work with for free to help you refine the offer, to help them overcome the problem, to get a good testimonial so you have some social proof. And then you can use that for, to back up your claim that you can help. But you can start making money online without having a huge audience. In fact, a lot of people have huge audiences, have no idea how to monetize. And then, so once I think starting with the offer first and getting some people to work with, and then even getting paid, that lays the groundwork for whatever content you want to start creating. Because now you have all this information. You have so much data from working with an individual. They will have shared with you all the things they've tried, what hasn't worked, what has worked, what they're struggling with, what their goals are. People love talking about their problems, and they love talking about their dreams. And you have to get those conversations going. They give you all the information you need that you can build an offer to help them with it and be able to answer those questions basically as content. So they're giving you everything you need to create the foundation for your business and for your brand, if you will. So no, you don't need a YouTube channel. If you want to have longevity, yes, you will want to start some sort of social media presence. In fact, you have to for online business. You have to. But it doesn't have to be a chore. It can be fun. YouTube is the hardest nut to crack, for what it's worth. Longest shelf life for content because things are evergreen on YouTube. But you have to have some kind of presence. And what's cool is if you do like a short form content approach, that short form piece of content you can put on several different platforms. And it doesn't have to be long. Like the best performing videos on something like Instagram are 10 to 12 seconds. Anyone can make a 10 to 12 second video. And you can take that, put it on YouTube, you can put it on TikTok, you can take the script from that, post it as a tweet. I mean, none of it's that complicated. Again, it just takes like learning some new skills and actually going for it. But to start making money, you don't need to have any of that. You just got to be willing to do some outreach and to be willing to listen, to hear what people's problems are and what their dreams are, so that you haven't understood. So you're not assuming you know what people want or what they need. You actually do know because you've had the conversations, and they'll tell you exactly what their problems are and exactly what they need. And you come back and say, hey, I have this thing. I think it'll help you. I mean, yeah, it's like, I don't know. I don't want to say it's easy, but the steps are simple with action.
And RP posted a question too.
Oh. Whoa. Okay. Hey, Benny, do your students have a common theme as to the type of work they want to set up, or are they all over the map with their types of businesses they want to start, service versus product? I don't recommend selling products. That's just me. Is it all content creation focused? No. I sort of just answered that. So yes, it's all over the map to answer that question. And it's awesome because you just see the range of what people are, capable of doing and wanting to help people with. One of the common problems people have is having really vague, sort of like amorphous offers. A lot of people come in with like, I want to help you heal energetically to to figure out your purpose in life. Very noble, not sellable. So what we do is like whittle that down to like, what's the simple thing you can help someone with so that they can experience that transformation? Like a lot of people come in wanting to help people find their purpose. Like that is so common. But if you think about it, if someone is struggling with addiction, or if they don't have, their finances are out of whack, like their purpose is to figure those things out. That's their purpose. Because they solve those little problems, then there's more access to their overall purpose. But you have to untie the knots to help them get there. So what knot can you untie in service to them finding their purpose? So that's something I deal with a lot. But as far as people in the community, I mean, there are so many people are helping. Okay, screen addiction, a lot of dietary stuff. Off the top of my head, I got fitness stuff, weight loss, social media branding. Again, this is the top of my head. There's some artistic ones as well. Like a woman in there is teaching people how to like sketch and do portraits. Copywriting, all kinds of stuff.
Music and skincare and parenting.
Skincare, yeah. Parenting, oh yeah, all kinds. Lots. And also being in the community is great because usually the offer that someone's creating is appealing to someone else in the community, and they can work with them for free and get the testimonial without having to do all the warm outreach, which is also a cool benefit of being in a community. You can just work with the people there and get the data and the feedback and the testimony that you need to like go to market.
Human and whale relationships.
Oh yeah, that one's out there, but yeah. Lots of stuff. Yoga. I mean, it is all over the map. And then the content comes after. Solidify the offer first, work with some people first, and then worry about content. But you don't need the content to start, really. You just got to have the courage to reach out to people and get conversations going. Any other questions? Happy to answer. As Jerry and Ina know, like, I get off in this stuff. I love it. Well, here's something that, if there's prospective students here, here's something I wish I had done sooner in my journey after autonomy was not hesitating to invest in resources that will help you move forward. So autonomy is an amazing resource to invest in. To learn from people who are doing what you want to do shortens the process. It shortcuts the process. And I'm in the habit now of like, if someone can help me, I will pay them because I buy back my time that way. And my time is way more valuable than the dollars. So I'm always, and I used to white knuckle money. Like, I don't know. But now I don't hesitate because I will pay for someone else's success so that it'll help me move forward faster.
Benny, I completely agree with that. How you doing? It's Leah. Hi.
Hi, Leah.
Hi. I, learned to invest in myself and it changed my life. When I started
Yes.
investing in personal development and, getting support in the areas that I needed, I'm living a completely different life. I never would have walked into the life I'm in now had I not done that.
100%.
No matter what tools I had or what talents I had or what skills I had, I didn't have any recognition of them because I didn't have any mentors or coaches that were giving me insight on that. And it's absolutely brilliant what you're doing. And I hear the nicest things about you. And
Well, that's
Richard
nice.
and Lisa talk about you with such positive, they love you. And it's always so great to hear.
That's
And
reciprocal.
yeah, and what you're doing for students is absolutely wonderful and brilliant. And I have very close friends in your class and they love it and they're so
Oh, cool.
happy. They're so happy with what
Yeah.
you're doing.
Thanks for saying that. It's a great group and I love being able to facilitate it. And this is, so to your point, again, being an entrepreneur never been more accessible than it is right now because of the internet and because of our ability to invest directly in people to get the education we need, the knowledge we need, the skills we need, the resources we need to move forward. It's making the education system absolutely obsolete. The fraction of a cost you can learn from someone who's succeeding in the thing you want to do to help you move forward. You're buying the lessons from them at a fraction of the cost of what it takes to go to college. When you learn from people who are most likely only telling you what they think it takes to succeed in the line of work you want to do. In this way, you spend a couple $1,000 to work with somebody who's already done it, who is doing it currently. There's nothing better to invest in than yourself to learn to get what you need to move forward. I mean, I went through autonomy and I've also spent tens of thousands of dollars after autonomy in courses, masterminds, cohorts, one-on-one coaching. I'm all in. And all it's done is improve my business and improve my success. The ROI is amazing. And even sometimes I don't get the value I wanted, but I still learn from it. So I really don't think there's anything, there really are no bad investments because you also can learn what doesn't work. But being willing to spend money on yourself to move forward, especially with business, can't recommend it enough. I'm paying people right now. I'm always working with somebody to accelerate my progress.
Yeah, it's incredible. And you have laser focus. And I can tell you're changing lives.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. But I can see how the students are reacting to you and the things you're telling them are so on point. And so I can appreciate that. And let me ask you something. When I joined Autonomy, I'm an autodidact. And again, that speaks to having coaches and mentors to help bring you into focus. But there was also still a level of indoctrination that I didn't know that I had. Did you experience that in autonomy? For me, it was learned helplessness. There were things like I never knew I could do these high level technical things. I thought, oh, that's somebody else. But that was all learned helplessness, right? Or provisional self esteem. That was another thing that was holding me back. I never, it was only conditional, my self esteem.
Yep.
And there were things I learned from Richard's course that I would have never realized that I still was holding on to that held me back.
Yes. So through autonomy and beyond, I mean, that's been sort of my journey the last 5 years is realizing, everything's clear in hindsight, right? Like 2020 hindsight. I can see so clearly where my thinking was flawed, especially as it pertains to business and money. I thought I was pretty advanced in my thinking and my awareness, but I had real limiting beliefs about money. And that became very clear in autonomy because that word entrepreneur was barely in my vocabulary. And I thought business was like a dirty word. And realizing, oh my gosh, to help people, to get paid to help people is what entrepreneurship is about. That is what it is. What better path is there where you get to provide a service to someone to help improve their lives and then receive value in return. Like it's beautiful. And I had such ignorance and self-defeating limited beliefs about it all as soon as like 6 years ago. So yeah. So indoctrination, also just whatever, childhood education system, all of it. Yeah, it's certainly, and I went to 21 years of school. I have a master's degree, and I came out of it without, with debt and without much knowledge of how to make money. It's pretty crazy. Or the importance of it. Yeah. So yeah.
I'm feeling like that there's going to be a book in the near future with your experiences and the things that you've been through.
Maybe. No, my chapter right now is content. I'm embracing content full on to well, mainly because I've taken I've been doing this community now for about 10 months, and I've put all of my focus on the people who were involved to make sure that it worked, to make sure that the results they were getting, that they could get results, to proof of concept, like to test my theory. Like, I think from everything I've learned about business, if you do these steps, they will work, and ignore everything else. And now that it's working, it's like, okay, this is a validated idea. People are seeing the results. Now it's time to really push it hard and go to market. And that, I think I definitely care about the service, and I care about the people. And when you have that, that's what's going to give you sustainability and longevity, is caring, not just wanting to make money, but like making sure that the offer is sound and that you can actually deliver on the results you're promising.
I've heard it said, create the value, don't try to make money, try to create value, and the money will show up.
Yeah. And of course, don't be afraid to ask for money, because that's another, obstacle people have to overcome. They don't know their own worth, and they don't know how to value their own time. So their impulse is like lower prices or giving it away for free. But if a person invests financially, they're more likely to see results because now they have skin in the game. Like, they're just by them clicking the pay button is already moving them closer to their goal, because they're committing. So that's another thing we have to overcome, is like, I don't want it to feel too expensive or like offend people. Like, no, your time is worth something. Your energy is worth something. Your investment in the person is worth something, and you charge what you're worth. And for what it's, the higher it is, the more likely someone is to commit.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And you're still an autonomy student.
Am I?
Yeah, it's a lifetime membership. You can come back anytime.
All right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that is awesome. I do love that about autonomy.
So, jump in anytime you want to hang out with anybody. The graduates would love to see you.
Yeah. Well, I've been wanting to do this for a long time.
Oh, I'm so glad that you did this. I've been wanting you to do this for so long, and
well, every now and then I bug Rich. I'm like, hey, Rich, it'd be awesome to talk to people on autonomy, because I feel like, it's what set me on this path, and I've done really well. Like, I'd like to be perhaps an inspiration to others who are considering it or going through it. Like, you can take this and actually make it work.
That's exactly the whole purpose of this particular webinar, is to let people know, to have a glimpse on the inside, to see how lives are changed by investing in yourself and by getting off the fence and getting over the hurdle, and then starting to take the time to do it and change, and these things will happen for you.
Yes. Commit, take action, build momentum, and don't stop. Everything else will fall into place. But you can't stop. There's a reason why I think if you listen to like these super, super successful entrepreneurs, their overarching message is always the same. They just say, don't quit. And you can see why. Like if you just don't quit, you will figure it out. But you have to start and be in motion and just say, I will see this through. And it'll work.
Thank you.
Yeah. If there any other questions, I have to go to my other job.
Yeah, I was just about
Clock
to
in
say
for
before
the
we-
night shift with my family. But I'm happy to answer any like if there's one more question or two more questions before I go.
I was just about to say before we move to wrapping it up, if anyone has any more questions for Benny about autonomy or his journey through autonomy, now is the time. Otherwise, we can wrap it up.
Yeah, and feel free to message me as well. I mean, I'm pretty easy to reach. If anybody has a question that comes to mind or anything after this, you want to say hello, happy to, chat outside of this call.
While we're waiting for maybe some, go ahead,
Saw
James. I
someone
see
come
you
off
just
mute.
unmuted.
I was like, maybe they won't see that.
No, we saw
No,
it.
I can
Bruce.
kind
We
of.
saw it. We saw it. We're Zoom experts over here.
That's too funny. I can just kind of relate with both you and Leah, except, I don't have the masters, but, just the learned helplessness. And it does feel like that kind of goes away in this community. But I just wanted to, and you may have touched on this, what you were doing, before autonomy. And I know you did touch on this, but how did you find out about autonomy? And when you looked at it and you said, like, you know what? I think I need this.
Richard Grove called me on the phone. That's how I found out.
All right.
We'd had a friendship online before that. I got married and he called me to congratulate me on getting married. And then he asked me like, what's your next steps? And that's how it all began. So lucky enough to have had a personal relationship with Rich beforehand and honored that he thought of me in that moment because, like I said, it changed the trajectory of my life. And going back to the learned helplessness point. So here's the flip side of what I was saying about it's never been easier to be a successful entrepreneur because of the internet. Well, with the way the world is constructed right now, yes, it's never been easier to be successful beyond your wildest dreams, but it's also never been easier to do nothing. And that's the struggle. You can live a pretty comfortable life doing nothing with it. I don't know if it's ever been like that ever in history, but that's where we're at now. So all you have to do is do something and you're ahead of the game. But that's what we have to fight
I'm
against,
working.
the comfort, the ease of which society has given us, in spite of its flaws. Like
Distractions.
people can live pretty comfortably with not much money. So it's these extremes. It's very easy to do nothing. But by doing something, you're ahead of the curve.
Well, I do something. I mean, I do a lot of somethings. It's
That's like my general message to
yeah.
tighten up that thing I said before. But yeah, no, that's not specific to you. Of
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
course. Cool.
Well,
Any
all
other
right.
final good? Anything
Going
else?
once.
Questions? All good. If anybody's interested, my community is called Sovereign Secrets School, SKOO. Here, I'll just put it in the chat. It's school.com/sovereign secrets and sovereign secrets. Yep. Did that work? It didn't give me a hyperlink. I know why. Got to put the HTTP in there. HTTP. There we go. Yeah. You can check that out if you want. And I'm also just happy to connect any way you guys want.
Also in the
Very
chat
cool.
are the links for the Autonomy Primer, which is the Autonomy Primer is a detailed explanation of the autonomy course of action taught by Richard Grove. And in that Autonomy Primer, we'll cover all the details that you need to know to make an informed decision and find out if autonomy is right for you. Just below that is a link to book your Blueprint Strategy Call, where you'll be able to talk with an autonomy graduate who's been where you are now. They'll help you figure out your next steps based on your goals, and it just gets the ball rolling on your enrollment process into autonomy. Also tonight, I want to include these free gifts, which are the 3 mindset lectures that Richard has given over the past few years, and the download for the 19 Essential Skills for Success PDF. And you can enjoy those as you wish. I'd like to thank you very much, Benny Wills, for being here this evening, joining us on Autonomy Quest. It's been real, dude. I really was very excited to be able to speak with you, and really excited to hear the types of questions that people would come up with. And no one disappointed. Thank you so much.
Well, it's an honor, and I'm happy to come back anytime if you guys want. So thank you, James.
All right. Well, we'll see you around, Benny.
All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Benny. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody, for being here at Autonomy Quest. Come back next week, same time, same place, and we'll see you there. Thank you very much, everyone.